Hey, I'm here with Gloria Nash of Homestead Saunas. We're actually hanging out in the sauna to do this interview, which I'm so excited. Last day of February in Sharon, Wisconsin. So Gloria, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thanks for coming out here and for doing this in the sauna.
I know, this is a great place to do interviews. Oh, we're going to get kind of steamy while we talk up some stuff about saunas, but it'll be great. We wish you guys were here. So why don't you tell everybody about Homestead Saunas? Gloria's been in wellness for over 2 decades, or almost 2 decades, right? Your whole life, basically.
Yeah, it's been a good moment. I really got into health and wellness as a teenager, actually. I began researching just the differences between bioengineered food and organic food. It was an independent study that I did my senior year in high school. And that journey really just kind of opened my eyes to food and like big agriculture in general and like how our food system works. And subsequently like all the different things that are connected with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so much behind that. That's a whole nother episode for us to explore as well. Yeah. But so you have always been in wellness. When did your interest in the sauna come about, and how did you fall into that?
So I have always loved saunas. I traveled quite a bit as a young child with my dad, visiting all different places. We would camp a lot, but sometimes we'd be in a hotel and there would be a sauna, and it was usually just electric. Sometimes they were steam-based, but I loved them. I just was always drawn to them. I loved them. And when we moved to Illinois, I discovered King Spa, which is a Korean bathhouse in Niles. And I would go there once a month just for my own self-care. I would go and I would spend the whole day, and I would leave completely refreshed and a brand new person.
Let's back up.
Yeah.
Tell the listeners about King Spa, like what it encompasses.
Yeah, so King Spa, it is a Korean bathhouse. So when you walk in, you feel like you've just entered a whole different world. There's all these different rooms that have different healing properties. Most of them are warm. There's one cold room, but there was a very, very hot room at King Spa, and that was my favorite. I would go in there. I would try to go in there at least 3 times because the heat, like the penetration of that heat, just did something completely tangible to my body that left it feeling completely different and renewed.
Yeah, and now you know specifically what that is, right? All the benefits and the things that actually happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that on a scientific level, there's a lot of research that's being done on heat and like thermal culture in general, thermal contrast of the extremes of hot and cold. I think there's a lot of untangible benefits as well that aren't necessarily able to be articulated or described in a way other than like the emotional benefits that they offer as well. But there is very tangible research that shows, you know, So
let's get into some of those, because sometimes people think, oh, you know, they've never been in a sauna or they've never done contrast therapy. And just to define contrast therapy, I don't know if you want to define it or you want me to define it, but I think you're the expert, so.
Well, I don't know if I'm an expert, but I would say like contrast therapy in general is just when you're going from an extreme to an extreme. So in the sense of bath culture, like it's going to be going from a hot sauna into either cold snow or cold water. And that is getting a lot of traction right now, just, you know, on the internet.
It's huge. It's just huge. Like we see it so much. So you're like on the cutting edge or the reemergence of this.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that emergence happen. because that wasn't necessarily why we built this.
Right.
It just happened kind of at the same time that all of the hype was building up around it. But again, it really just stemmed from like my own love of what it did to me and my body. But thermal culture and thermal contrast, like there are a lot of benefits that can come from that variation. So when you're going from the hot and you go into the cold, it's going to increase the human growth hormone in the body, and that's like one of the biggest benefits in my mind, because that hormone is responsible for so many different things in our body. It's responsible for collagen production, our immune system, and again, just bringing it back to that mental and emotional aspect of reminding yourself that you can do hard things, and that you can do challenging things. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so good. So all of those great things it does for the body. Are there any contraindications, like where people shouldn't be doing sauna and cold plunge?
Yeah, there are. It's always, in general, good to check with your healthcare provider if you have any concerns that you would want to just be aware of before you immerse yourself into thermal therapy. Having high blood pressure can be a contraindication, but at the same time, going into a sauna is actually extremely beneficial for reducing the risk of blood pressure. So it's something that you want to take on an individual basis, just knowing your own body, checking with your provider, and seeing how you feel when and if you come. Heart conditions can be another one as well. So if you have any kind of pre-existing heart condition, it's not so good to necessarily come into the sauna and especially do those extremes from the hot to the cold. But again, if you don't have that as a pre-existing condition, it's incredibly beneficial. It is a preventative. So preventing heart disease, preventing cardiovascular risk.
It's sort of like a strength training workout, even though you're not physically lifting weights or running. You are challenging the cardiovascular system by doing both of the...
You are.
Heating up the system and then cooling it off, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact statistics on this, but there's been a lot of research done on how just a 20-minute sauna session is like the exact same as doing a 20-minute cardiovascular workout.
I bet.
Yeah.
And there's like the transformation that occurs just mentally and emotionally. I mean, I feel like a brand new person after I'm done with the therapies that you offer. So let's go into, before we get into all the great things that you do in the sauna, let's get into just the background or the history. I mean, this type of therapy has been going on for thousands of years, right? We had Roman baths. I mean, even in like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, they have pictures of people doing this type of plunging and heating their bodies. So this has been going on for a long time. Can you give a little overview, or maybe want to get into like why the reemergence has happened?
Well, I would say that bath culture and utilizing heat, especially with heat, fire, like the elemental nature of a sauna, it spans all different cultures. Like you can find it in all different parts of the world, from all different cultures, all different backgrounds. There is this common theme of utilizing heat and fire and water, this elemental nature.
Ceremonial almost.
Yeah. Very much so. To bring about transformation.
Yes.
And I think there's a reemergence of these practices here in America. I don't know that they were ever really lost in other places, but America is discovering them.
It's like another fad. Like, right, oh yeah, let's go blow it up as big as we can, right? When the other cultures have always done it, it's always been slow and steady, part of their regimen, that now we get a hang of it and we're like, let's just do it to the extreme, right?
Yeah, so there is a little bit of that I've noticed within America's bath culture. Is kind of, there's actually kind of a common term within like sauna culture called the sauna bro. And that's like the guy who's going just like hardcore hottest of the hot to the coldest of the cold, and like just creating this real extreme biohacking persona. And that's fine, right. But that also, like, you miss such a big piece of what the transformational process can be if you're just doing it for
physical.
For physical or for this like one-dimensional reason.
Mm-hmm. And so go a little deeper here, because I'm interested, and beyond the sauna bro. If you're going through these processes, like say you have weekly community or bi-weekly community sauna, right? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things then that people are achieving or they're using sauna in place of? I remember us having a conversation about how great it was to use this community sauna time in place of, say, going to the bar to drink after work. That really caught me. I thought, what a great concept to encourage people to to create a community around something that's health oriented. Obviously there's sports and things, but this is unique where they can feel sort of like that sauna buzz.
Yes. Yeah. So, Homestead Saunas is an alcohol-free space. Mm-hmm. And moving to Wisconsin, we realized that drinking culture was so just integrated into every part of community.
Yeah.
Out here. And I don't drink. So we wanted to create a space that still would offer a community setting, where you would be sober, you'd have a space for authentic connection, and just be able to really kind of like drop down with your people. I feel like the stories that are shared in this space, it just allows for you to share on a deeper, more vulnerable level. And because of that vulnerability, you create these heart connections that are otherwise sometimes harder to create. And so I would like to say that is really why the emergence of, bath culture is happening, is because I think people are desiring that sense of community and a place to connect.
Yeah. And it's, like you said, it's like sauna therapy, right? It's like, instead of going to the bar to talk to your bartender about all your problems, you can eliminate, the toxin of alcohol and go and do something and be with friends and develop your sauna friend therapy. I think it's hugely transformational and encouraging for just the younger generations too, that, we can commune around these health-oriented activities. In nature, getting people out in nature. Now, we can't flip the screen right now, but we're looking at a beautiful naturescape, and it's just that whole 5-sense experience where if you step out the sauna, you're going to hear the birds. You might even hear the birds chirping and they're recurring. Hopefully
I can hear them.
Yeah. So we'll hear the birds, we feel the wind, and, you've got the water element. And, you're hearing things and you're smelling the wonderful smells. You want to talk about some of the things that people can experience within the sauna as far as like the smells that we've got, her herb broom. You might want to give me a little overview on some of these great things.
Well, this is dry right now, but this is, and she's a little worn down at this point, but this is a vinik, so that's the Ukrainian and Russian term for a botanical sauna broom. They're called vitas in Finland, but there's a lot of different ways that different cultures will utilize some kind of a botanical broom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when it's soaked in hot water, the leaves will become renewed, refreshed, soft, and it does create a very aromatic aroma inside the sauna. And you can utilize the broom in a lot of different ways, but moving the steam, creating more humidity, you can utilize it on the body for increased circulation. Different plants have different properties that are going to help for different things.
So you're actually getting the vibration of the plants that you're using within the sauna too.
I would definitely say that each plant has like its own, ally properties that it offers to being in the sauna with you, for sure.
What are some key plants that you use in the...
So birch is probably one of the most common ones that we use here. Oak is another very common room that's utilized. It's a little more masculine. We tend to create a space for a lot of women, so we end up having more women-dominated botanicals. But oak is very commonly used. If you go to like the Russian bathhouses in Chicago, they're going to use a lot of oak. We also love linden.
Yeah, linden.
I love linden.
Yeah, linden.
And we have linden in our tea, in our infusion today.
Okay.
So, yeah. But yeah, there's so many different ways that you can integrate botanicals in the sauna. And I think for me, having a background in herbalism, this feels like it brings all of my
expertise together.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you do. So we'll get into some of the therapies that you do in here in a bit. But I want to just talk about your... you have this special affinity to helping women with like women issues, or helping them with the cyclical, like connecting them with nature and, you know, the moon phase and just the seasons. So do you want to talk about the benefits of sauna therapy for specifically women?
Yeah, I think that sauna is going to benefit everyone. I'm a woman, so I feel very strongly connected to like sharing this practice with women as well. Women tend to be constantly in service of those around them. And so the sauna kind of is this container. It's almost like this womb space that women can enter and then come out re-emerged, renewed, rejuvenated, refreshed. And so to give them that time for their own self-care, they're then able to like go out into the world, go back to their families, go back to their job, and have this sense, this sense of renewal that they can bring. And it will help you be a better version of yourself.
For sure. I noticed that. It's like this whole new being that I become once I come up here in nature, in the sauna, have you do some of your therapies that are just so magical. It's like better than any vitamin, or let's not use the P word, pharmaceutical. It's way better than anything that you could ever find in a drugstore, right? And I think when people realize that they can tap into their internal healing chemicals, like it stimulates your endorphins, your serotonin, all of those great immune building chemicals that we release when we're in here, right?
Yeah. And so much of what we're doing here is we're really just creating a space, and we're allowing you to come back to homeostasis. I believe very strongly that the body is seeking a way to come back into balance.
Always.
We just have to kind of create this foundational space to allow that to happen. And so there's nothing that I have to do. We just have to let nature do its thing, let the sauna be this container, using the elements of water and fire and the plants.
It's just amazing, and it's so simple. I want to have you explain, if you could. There's sweat lodges. Sweat lodge ceremonies are popular in, Native American ceremonies, many ceremonies, even South American ceremonies around the world. That's heat, right? And can you explain? Sometimes people have a question of, well, what goes on in the sauna? Like, there's all of these misconceptions that happen, and even if they are misunderstanding the actual therapy, but is there any relation to sweat lodge and sauna therapy besides just the heat?
Yes.
Okay, good. I want you to really shed your light.
Again, I would say like a sweat lodge in the most common sense of the term. I think we correlate that to, indigenous cultures here in the Americas. That's very common for indigenous people to practice still sweat lodge. I have been invited into sweat lodges myself also. So I have some reference point on like the variations, but also the similarities. And I think, again, in a sweat lodge, there are elemental aspects that you're calling on. There's directions that you're pulling in from ancestors. It's kind of like working with the field.
Okay.
And the field I'm using as a term for the field and the energy in the space all around you. Mm-hmm. And so even within a sauna, which is different than a sweat lodge,
yes,
there's still this, if you're doing it with intention, you're aware of the field around you, you're aware of the elements around you, you're honoring those elements around you, and you are utilizing, very raw elements to create this process of transformation. Mm-hmm. And I think, again, like, transformation is kind of that underlying aspect of both.
Right, the transformation. And what are some of the things that people experience after that can be, I don't want to use the word, even say scary, but like, is there some reactions that can be maybe questionable after you're in the sauna for a long time? Because sometimes people are like, well, I'm scared, I don't want to do it, or I'm afraid physically. Mm-hmm. But also I think people are sometimes afraid of contrast therapy or just saunas in general because of those after effects.
Yeah.
Or side effects, after effects, whatever you want to call it.
So I would say that there is a lot of high sensorial experiences that will happen, as whether you're doing a ritual session or not. Mm-hmm. You're sweating, you're hot. Mm-hmm. There can be things that come up mentally and physically. Mm-hmm. You can feel dizzy if you stay, past your body's, threshold. So for us here, we really encourage people to listen to their own body, because not every person has the same threshold. And part of what I really desire to create and cultivate within this space is for people to create this internal wisdom, mm-hmm. to know and listen to their body.
Yeah. And that's the key for anything that people do, is to listen to the body, because the body never lies. But sometimes we get so disconnected from even listening to our own bodies that it's one of those modern day habits that we are so outside of ourselves. Mm-hmm. That, again, this is something so great because it brings us back into ourselves. Because how can you deny that you're feeling hot and dizzy? Like, no, you have to listen to your body, right?
Right.
So and then waking that up,
having the opportunity, I guess, really just, you can leave, you can go put your feet directly on the ground. Like, it's not concrete. Like, go right now, stick your feet in the mud.
Yeah.
Or on the grass or in the snow. Mm-hmm. And feeling your feet reconnect to the earth. There's all these new
earthing.
terms, earthing, and like forest bathing. There's all these new terms, but these are just things that we are innately drawn to. We are just removed from them because of how culture functions right now.
I know.
But they are a part of us. And so having your feet on the ground is going to help bring you back into yourself in a way that nothing else really can.
Yeah, that was so beautifully said. I love that. Yeah, just if everybody could just take some vitamin E, but not vitamin E as we know it, but vitamin Earth every day.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, because it's true. Like, we don't get outside enough, even trying to get the children outside, away from devices. So this is really good. This is, I hope, a trend that just doesn't blow up as like this fad in America, but that stays with the culture,
Yeah, I feel confident that, with the right intention and integrity, like, you can keep these practices, and specifically that, like, nature connection can still remain like a strong threshold within this practice.
Yeah, and bringing in nature. So now Gloria does some therapies within the sauna, which I've experienced are amazing. One being the Ukrainian bath ritual. Mm-hmm. And then what are some of the others that you do in the sauna?
Yeah, so we have a few tools that can be utilized in the sauna. They're wooden massage tools.
Yeah, you can get you can. Yeah, why don't you access them so you can show?
I'll grab a few of them. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So,
These are good.
like this, I'll show you kind of just like on your arm. This is not one that you would use on your arm, but
Yeah.
just so you can kind of get a sense. This one is actually really wonderful for like thicker, larger parts of your body.
Like the back or the belly or thighs.
More like the thighs and
Thighs.
the glutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one is really wonderful for like meatier parts of the body. But it helps break up some like stuck lymph, I would say. And the element of heat, like being able to utilize these tools in the sauna with the heat, with the steam, has been absolutely amazing. We have a practitioner here who is well trained on these tools specifically. She's also an Ayurvedic practitioner.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and so she offers like the Abhyanga hot oil massage.
Okay.
And it's just, she's such a gem to have here.
That's amazing. I can't wait to try her too.
Yeah. So Allie is wonderful. She's just absolutely a joy to have here, working in the sauna and in our treatment room.
So this is heated up. So if you're doing a therapy in here, you're experiencing the heat of the sauna. But then what happens if you get too hot during this? Do you get to contrast?
So we break it up, and these sessions they're shorter just in nature. The longest time frame for that is 45 minutes.
Okay.
But because you're laying down on the lower bench, it's more likely that the practitioner is going to need a break to step out, more so than the person who's receiving, because
They're working.
Yeah, they're working, and also the sauna is not heated to like its hottest temperatures. We keep it more at like 60 Celsius, which is around 140 degrees.
Oh, okay.
Which that's low. That's actually a lower temperature.
Yeah, tell
for
us
our
about
sauna.
how high it gets during sauna therapy.
We like to keep it usually between 70 and 80 is kind of, which correlates to I think around like 170 or so degrees.
Wow, that's steamy.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so, and again, top bench is going to be quite a bit hotter. There's about a 30-degree difference, variation between the top bench and the low bench. And that was really important for us to make sure that we had two different bench heights for people so that they could fluctuate between the top and the lower.
And then even on the ground.
Yes.
Right, so then you have the ground level.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we get into Ukrainian bath, that is the ultimate 5 sense experience. Why don't you give a little overview of the Ukrainian bath therapy?
Yeah, so I will try to articulate this process as best as I can. I've been studying with just an absolutely wonderful woman. Her name is Olena, and she's from Ukraine. We move through a lot of different variations of this process, but in general, it's another way of creating transformation for the self with a little bit more intention, and bringing all of these elements into play. So if you are looking to change or transmute something that's going on in your life, it's a really powerful tool to bring you into that new space.
Yes.
Because of the intention that's behind it. So recognizing what it is that you want to release, what you want to grow, and what you want changed. So that there's a goal for the work. And then there's a lot of different ways that you can integrate, healing tools within that. But there is always going to be some aspect of cleansing the body, either with soap, salt.
Yeah. Sugar?
Yeah. Well, potentially not sugar.
No, honey.
Yes.
Honey, that's right.
Yeah.
So salt. I remember that.
Using honey.
Citrus.
Integrating citrus. There's a lot of different ways. Of course, definitely using the brooms.
Yeah, the brooms.
They are very important. And you're working with the sauna itself. So like, you're working with the fire. You're working with the steam. You're working with the plants. You're listening, and there is this kind of cold baptismal aspect of pouring water over the body.
It's amazing. Like I mean, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I've done therapy, but I want to make it a habit of doing it every season because I think it's just so ceremonial to change a season or coming into a new season. And it just helps you connect so deeply with the elements, like the outside, the plant energy, like you had mentioned, the citrus and the steam and the fire. I mean, it's something must try. And if you're listening from outside of Illinois, you need to fly in to try Gloria's therapy. It's well worth it. You can camp out back.
You can. We do have a bell tent for people who are staying.
Yeah, I mean, you're famous for this in my mind.
Well, I don't know if I'm famous for it.
No, in my mind,
okay.
You are. It's so great, though. I can't say enough about it. So that is the therapy. Then they're going, and they can cold plunge in between segments.
So again, there's different ways to do each session. I would never say that any session is duplicatable.
Right.
Like every session is going to be unique to the person, to the weather outside. Again, if you look back at that field, like the field around you, and not just the sense in like a prairie, but like the actual space that surrounds you. Mm-hmm. So you're pulling from all of those elements.
Yeah, exactly.
And me as a practitioner, like I don't get to control all of those elements, so I'm working with them.
Yeah. And that's the key word, is letting go.
Yeah. Allowing.
And basically letting up your control, which society loves, that hyper control of everything, right? It's so great. So even just coming into the sauna to let go and allow is therapeutic, because we are so micromanaging everything so intensely. Mm-hmm. It's blowing up our nervous systems. And so again, this is a great way to kind of restore our nervous system.
It is. Yeah, I find it to be incredibly therapeutic for the nervous system.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, I use the word amazing because it's just so amazing. But let's get into then any other, I know you talked about the Ayurvedic therapies, but any other therapies that you want to add in that are done besides like contrast and Ukrainian bath?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a whole treatment room here on Homestead Saunas property, which is our home as well.
Yeah.
So we have a treatment space where we offer massage therapy, cranial sacral therapy, Mayan abdominal massage. So there's a wide range of different treatments that we offer in the treatment room. And you can also do, if you don't want to do an entire ritual process, maybe you just want like a taste of that process, you can get just a salt scrub in the sauna as well.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different options, and we're always looking to expand and grow our services. I have a lot of dreams for different things that we can do on this land.
And it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
We'll flip the camera so they can see. But yeah, okay, so full range of treatments, body work. You've got the contrast therapy. You've got the connection with the earth here. What is ahead for you guys? Like, what are you invited to? Like, I know that this is really big. Like, even since we've only met a short time ago, and there's so many things happening for you.
Yeah, so I am really excited to continue to expand our community right here, like at Homestead Saunas, but also to create more collaborations and partnerships, just creating a general sense of community and culture around nature, really at the heart of it all. We do have, this will be our second annual Sauna Synergy coming up April 11th and 12th.
Okay.
And that'll be a 2-day camp out, and we have...
Where is that held?
That will be at the Kettle Marine Ranch in Eagle, Wisconsin.
Okay.
So it's near East Troy, and it's right in the heart of the Kettle Marine Forest. Really phenomenal space. We'll have indoor and outdoor space to utilize. A big, beautiful barn. We are going to have some really amazing workshops, multiple saunas. We're bringing in a ton of other saunas from the area. Just a celebration of thermal and bath culture in general, but also, again, just bringing this place of community. We're going to have some awesome music.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really fun time.
Oh my gosh. I want to go. I want to say that this is probably the most important fact that we hit in this interview, that you built this sauna. So
Yes.
this sauna isn't a sauna that she purchased, but that your husband built. You guys co-built, I should say, together. And maybe this is a good time for me to kind of, expand the view. But go ahead, talk about how or why you decided to build it.
Yeah, so, well, I would say that when COVID happened, I really didn't know what was going to happen with my massage practice, with life. We moved from Illinois to Wisconsin. Everything felt different and strange. And one day I really just woke up and had this idea to build a mobile sauna, because I always wanted a sauna. That was something that felt important to have living in the north. But if we made it mobile so that we could take it places and share it with other spaces, bring it into other people's homes, other businesses, it would just have that much more reach. And so I did share the idea with my husband, and we both got very excited about it. I waited until we had a 6-hour road trip to pop the question on him so he couldn't really avoid the conversation. And we got really excited. We had this fantastic car ride just planning all the ideas and different things that we wanted to do. And there was a pretty big evolution from like the original idea to what tangibly came to be. But I knew that there were very like fundamental aspects of the design that I needed to have in the sauna itself. Like, we wanted to have cedar because of the natural aroma and properties that cedar has. I wanted to make sure that we had 2 different bench heights so that you could alternate from hot to cold. I also wanted to make sure that the benches themselves were wide enough that, any person of any size could comfortably lay down and relax on the benches.
And talk about the stone, the heater,
Yeah.
and the fire.
Yeah. So.
Because that's like really the Mac Daddy of heaters here.
Yeah. So this.
And
this
that's
is a Home stove from Estonia. And I really fell in love with the look of this stove. I love the design. I love the radiant heat that all of the stone creates. I went back and forth for probably 3 months trying to decide and finalize what heater and heating element we were going to utilize. And I kept coming back to the Home. And I'm so grateful that this is the stove that we have. So, no regrets.
I love it. It's amazing. And then when you can actually steam in here too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can create the steam with the water.
Yeah. I don't know if you want me to do that. We probably won't be able to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
This is great. People need to really see it.
Okay.
And this is good.
Well,
And even if our screen gets steamed up, everything's editable. And
actually, I think it's okay since our door's open.
yeah, we do have the door open. So this is amazing, Gloria. Oh my gosh, there's so much benefit just to even sitting in here with it warm with the door open. So, I mean, it's just a great place to hang out.
Yeah.
It's like, I love to have a sauna as an extension of my home. I think it'd be great, the natural. But talk about the benefit of that heater versus the electric.
Well, again, I think it comes back to the elemental nature and the tradition of sauna. There's just something very raw and primal about fire that is tangibly different than something that you plug in.
Yeah.
They're just... Some people would say that it also feels like it creates a different kind of heat. I also really love, like, our stove has a glass door so that you can get that infrared benefit from the fire itself. As humans, like, we always sat around fires. We had fire. Like, fire was our red light therapy.
Since the beginning of time.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah. So I think, again, it does come down to preference. Some people find the ease of an electric stove to be, more beneficial. But for me, there was no question. It absolutely had to be a fire.
Definitely connected to the elements. And again, the shape makes a difference too, right? So that's big. Like, some people are finding those circular saunas or different shapes online that they can put together. Tell me what you know as an expert in design.
So I would say that in general, the barrel saunas, which are pretty popular, they can be great. They can definitely, like, get to a good temperature if you have a really good stove. So there is a local company, local as in, like, American company, the Kuma stove, and they are based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they do make a really powerful stove. It's extremely powerful, and so I think if you have a stove that's, like, such a powerhouse, you can heat those barrel saunas to a higher temperature. But otherwise, sometimes what we have found is that some of the barrels struggle to create
that
heat and hold the heat. Yeah. And there's, there can be some challenges with them. I can't remember what they're called, but, like, there's bindings on them that you do have to, like, adjust with the expansion and contrast of the wood, just within, the different seasons. A lot of those are also not insulated. So not having, like, the extra insulation can sometimes be tricky just when you live in the north and it can be negative 20 degrees outside.
Yes.
And, we do have a small but functional changing room, and that really also acts as an extra catchment room for the heat, so that when you open up the sauna door, not all of the heat
is
flies
escaping
right out.
Right. Yeah. And that's so we'll take a break and then we'll come back with you showing the areas, because I think that's really powerful. People are probably just dying to see what's around the corner and outside. So let's wrap up just the main part of this, which is, where are you going to be this coming year with your sauna, and then where can people find you?
Yeah.
And any last thoughts that you want to share on sauna?
Sure. So you can always find us on homesteadsaunas.com. That's our website. We're Homestead Saunas on Instagram. And if you want to catch us in person, we have Sauna Synergy coming up April 11th and 12th in the Kettle Marine Ranch in Eagle. And that will be us plus a ton of other things happening that whole weekend. And we've got a few events happening at the Driftless Music Gardens this summer. And we will be at the Midwest Women's Herbal Conference and Mycelium Mysteries. And those will be a little bit further north near Stevens Point.
And those are May and September respectively, right?
So May, the conference is actually already sold out for the Herbal Conference. But that one is May, I think, 17th until the 24th. And then the Mushroom Conference is always the end of September.
During the equinox.
Yeah,
during the fall equinox. Okay, well, this has been great, and we're going to come back with a little tour. So stick around. So if you look around, this is the nature that surrounds the Homestead Sauna. And Gloria is going to show us into the sauna. This is the changing area. Small changing area. This is the warm and steamy sauna.
What brings it all together.
Yes.
And I will steam her up here.
Yeah. I'm sure as you're watching, you want to dive right into the screen and sit right up here.
And these are some of the wooden tools that you can use. We have a whole bunch of different tools used for different things to help with lymphatic drainage for the body. This is dry right now, but this is one of our botanical brooms. We do use soap and sea sponges, warm honey, and salt for some of our ritual processes.
And this is the view, if we can see. Oh yeah, there's a beautiful view of southern Wisconsin on a 50-degree February day. So I think that'll wrap it up for us today. Thank you so much, Gloria.
Thank you, JoAnne.
I'm so excited we could do this together. And everybody needs to visit Homestead Saunas in Sharon, Wisconsin.
Thank you.
Thank you.